Welcome. Today, you are going to be completing a online game simulation as an introduction to our next unit. Our next unit is on evolution. So, some questions that you may have, some prior knowledge you may have already is just what is evolution and why are we starting with natural selection? Is it the same thing? So today what you're going to do is you are actually going to be completing two game simulations that hopefully will give you some introduction into the process of evolution and natural selection. And then your next assignment in this unit is going to give you some more detail on how the theory of natural selection as a mechanism for evolution came about. So first I wanted to go over some terms you may have heard before. So one of those terms is called survival of the fittest. In this case, what this means, it's not necessarily a fitness in terms of like strength. But in this case, fitness is referring to two things: the ability of the organism to survive, as the name suggests, but also then to reproduce. And this then ties in with genetics and then the being able to pass on those genes from parent to offspring. So, the survival of the fittest, the organism then that is most fit for its environment, is going to be able to do two things: survive and then to reproduce. So, survival of the fittest, as this image states, survival of the fittest is competition between two individual organisms. So, for evolution and then for this mechanism of natural selection, you do need to have organisms that are going to be more fit than others. So, natural selection is the mechanism of evolution. Now, evolution is the change of species, and this can occur in other ways besides natural selection. But natural selection really is this main force that is going to be serving as this mechanism to allow for change of species over time. Natural selection is going to ensure that only those traits then that allow for the individual to be more fit in its environment be able to get passed on to future generations. So again, I use that term more fit, and again, look here, it's because it means that it can survive and reproduce more so through competition of another individual of that population. And then over time, it is going to lead to evolution. So, some misconceptions is that you might think that an individual organism can evolve, and that is not true. Populations over time can evolve. So, when you're using that term evolution, don't mean it for just one individual organism, but that it is going to be a population over time. So, evolution is the consequence of natural selection over thousands of years. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that long. Depends on the organism itself. For humans, it would definitely take thousands of years, but something like bacteria could actually evolve in very short periods of time, even within day or week periods of time. Okay, so what is it that you're going to be doing today? Today, you are going to open up this assignment and you are going to open up your Google Doc. Your Google Doc is going to look just like this, and there are a series of links that you're going to have to click on to do some investigation. The first one here is on the background information for the peppered moths. So read over this material to be able to answer questions 1 and 2. The second link is going to give you more information then about natural selection as this mechanism, and in particular this example of natural selection using the peppered moths. The third link is going to be just background knowledge on how to play the game that you are going to play. And then the last link is actually playing this natural selection peppered moth simulation. So you're going to simulate a light forest and a dark forest. You are going to be a moth and you are just going to click on these. Sorry, you're a bird and you are hungry. You're going to be clicking on these moths. And when you click on them, you can eat those moths. Um, make sure that you record your data here so that you can use that to analyze your data. And then the second link that I want you to do is called Who Wants to Live to a Million Years? So this one then ties in with Charles Darwin. So you can do some reading about Charles Darwin. You may have noticed I briefly had a puzzle piece on my screen and I enabled this Adobe. So hopefully you can do the same so you can play the game. And then you'll click on Play the Survival Game. You can adjust your initial population with different types of traits that you might want to start out with. And then you're going to see if those traits will eventually be able to survive 100 years. Notice that it's not going to look exactly the same, so evolution has occurred. There are these branches of the evolutionary tree, and there are going to be different things then that might be competition, that might be predators, that might be change just in the climate or environment. So when you do that, you pick your initial variations of your populations. You may want to try to have the most diversity as possible, and then click and see if you survive to have 1 million years of a populations or a change of populations over time. When you are done with this assignment, then please submit it and you will be done for today. I hope you enjoy. Please ask any questions if you have them. Good luck.